Hello guys, welcome to Odds on Europa League Match Day 3, another round around the Europe to analyze the best games we have on Thursday, as always with Ronan Murphy, with Alain Valnegri. Hello, to get to know which tips, which bets we can place on Thursday. So, of course, stay with us. 38K subscribers, now a new milestone. So, hopefully, very soon we can reach 40,000. Just help us. Click subscribe, press the like, and tell me your tips, of course, or any questions you have about the games. And now let's go on with the show. So it's Europa League. We've chosen the best 8 games, or at least the ones also with the best odds. And we've seen so many surprises, so it's always tricky. I think the Europa League, especially in the league stage. For instance, our first stop is in Romania, in Bucharest. 𝗀𝗲𝗄 Bologna. And if you don't believe me about the surprises, 𝗀𝗲𝗄, for instance, lost to Young Boys at home and beat the go-ahead Eagles. Okay, this was expected. So it was kind of an easy schedule, but they had 3 points and they are in really, really poor form. In Romania, 12 in the standings with 6 defeats. So I guess, Alain, here the odds to back Bologna are really good. 1.7, a team that is growing and growing in this in the Serie A. But in the Europa League, only 1 point. They had a tough schedule, lost to Aston Villa and drew with Freiburg. They have to win to finish in the top 8.
Yes, but everything are in favor for Bologna right now. First, when we analyze Bologna, the team we saw is the first time in the season they won two games in a row in Serie A. In Cagliari, where it's always difficult, and against Pisa, 6 goals scored, 0 received. Yes, it's the best moment. But with Italiano, the last season was the same. Difficult beginning of the season, maybe until November this year. He cut a little that bad beginning, and he found his rhythm. Right now, it's true. Bologna, since the beginning of the season, the game their lose was in Roma, was in Milano, was in Villa Park. It's not normal, but we can accept that, and that one don't change absolutely the wonderful working of Vincenzo Italiano at Bologna. Bologna acquire a lot of maturity in the last year. Is really favorite for this game. You introduce you really well the bad beginning of the season of FCSB, 12 in the League Romania, losing against Young Boys is not a brilliant result. And for that reason, I think Bologna is really favorite. I know it's not a value bet maybe for the odds, but is probably a sure bet because Bologna is really favorite more than the odds the bookmaker offer. Bologna winning odds 1.72.
Indeed, in a normal life, they are super favorites. This is Europa League, and we see so many surprises. Still, I guess we should back them, Ronan.
Yeah, I think that's it. The Europa League can throw up some surprise results or some crazy results from time to time, and any week of the Europa League, you kind of have a look at the results and you're like, oh, how did that happen? But yeah, there always seems to be one result. But hopefully, for the case of our viewers, it won't be this one, because I'm also thinking that Bologna are going to win this one. I know they haven't been utterly convincing so far in the Europa League, but I've liked what I saw against them in the match against Freiburg, and they obviously weren't real pushovers against Aston Villa either. So I think they do have a lot more strength in this match, and they really should beat 𝗀𝗏 Bucharest in this one. 𝗀𝗏 themselves, they haven't had a good season at all so far, like Alain was saying, and they haven't actually scored twice in any of their last 7 games in all competitions. So they're not scoring a lot of goals, and Bologna, I think, are defensively sound, so they are a good team at the back. They've won 2 games back-to-back to 0. They beat Pisa 4-0. They beat Cagliari 2-0. So I think this is a team that maybe can keep the goals away and get a goal or two themselves. So both teams to score no could be an option here at 191. Because if you look, Style Bucharest have only had their games so far have both been wins to 0 for one team. So I think this could be another win to 0 here. Bologna win, like Alain said, looks good at 172. But if you think like I do that they can win without conceding, Bologna to win to 0 is 280.
All right, X2 for Bologna. Crete is telling us this pays very little. I have to warn you. 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀 draw 0-0 or 1-1. He sees for this game it would be a surprise. Next one in Turkey, in Istanbul, Fenerbahce Stuttgart. Good game. This one, Fenerbahce, 3 points, lost to Dinamo Zagreb, beat Nice at home. In Turkey, they are third, 6 points behind the leaders, Galatasaray. Stuttgart really informed in the Bundesliga is 4 consecutive wins. And in the Europa League, also following Fenerbahce's form, Ronan win at home, lose away. It's never easy to go to Turkey. Looks kind of appealing, these odds for Fenerbahce in their home ground.
It also looks appealing for these odds for Stuttgart. To be honest, I do
even
like
more.
The look of those ones too. So I think this one kind of is a hard one to predict who's definitely going to win. Maybe Alain will have a different idea than me, but I'm kind of looking elsewhere perhaps to find it, because these are 2 teams in good form. Fenerbahce are unbeaten in 4 games since they were beaten by Dinamo Zagreb, like you said. And Stuttgart, they've had 4 wins in a row in the Bundesliga. They've won 5 of their last 6 games in all competitions. They are playing quite well at the moment, but they are scoring a lot of goals at the moment. So that's where I like to value in this match. They've scored 2 or more goals in 4 of their last 6 games, including a 3-0 win against Wolfsburg at the weekend. So this Stuttgart team are kind of finding goals from all over the pitch, and like the way kind of different various players are chipping in with goals, chipping in with assists, and they're not kind of relying on just one player to get all the goals. And that is the kind of Stuttgart mentality that we all kind of pull together. It's what the way the people are in the region itself. It's kind of a very kind of hard working, put your head down kind of place. So I think this can be a match where Stuttgart can score goals. I'm not saying they're definitely going to win, but I do like to look at them scoring a couple of goals here. So Stuttgart over 1.5 goals is 230.
Do you see things differently, Alain?
Stuttgart is in a very good form. After when do you play in Turkey is always delicate. No, the first 10, 15 minutes are always can be hard. Fenerbahce is in a good moment right now. They're found a balance. They're found not the best version, because I think the potential of this team is higher, but is 4 positive results in a row. Their one against Nice was a good results. We saw a very good version of 𝘀𝗵𝗀𝗀 right now. Asensio is well. Yes, I find identity about Fenerbahce. The limit, I think, is when they're played away in Europe. When they're played at home is always difficult for every team. For that game, is very difficult to choose for me 1x2. In Turkish league, Fenerbahce is the team with the highest percent to score in the first half, and for that reason I choose Fenerbahce 0.5 goals in the first half, odds 1.80.
I like it. So they have to score in the first half. 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀, both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. Also Crete sees both teams to score, and Shaq also both teams to score. Hello David, saying that we should keep going with our videos. Hopefully it's like that. And we have kind of a safe bet, I would say, or at least really good odds. In Rotterdam, Feyenoord, Panathinaikos. Feyenoord, surprisingly, 0 points. They lost to Braga and Aston Villa, but they are topping their domestic league, the Eredivisie, and at the weekend they won 7-0 away against Heracles Almelo and Panathinaikos is kind of the opposite. They are in poor form. In Greece, only 2 wins this season, and even in this Europa League, they lost to go ahead Eagles, humble team, let's say, from the Eredivisie. Even if they, in the first match day, Alain, they won away in Switzerland.
Probably the best results since the beginning of the season for Panathinaikos, and your friend Benitez, Rafa Benitez, signing for Panathinaikos, and
Yeah.
don't start in Salonika, but is his first game, and
Old school, is he goes there with the chalk and the board. I think still without the computer, probably.
Yeah, last experience was difficult. I hope the player have big passion to be the session, video session, because we know Benitez. We know Benitez when he go out with his wife for the first time. He speak about tactical, and the woman said, "But this guy is so crazy." But after he do a very good job in Liverpool without doubt. Now Feyenoord, yes, Feyenoord is a mystery. Is a mystery because we saw no version, not a pura, no version in Europa League since the beginning, respect to the brilliant team and with that offensive powder we saw every week in Eredivisie. There must to change the average of points. Feyenoord must to be offensive, must to show the version of Eredivisie, and is a good moment, a good match to show that against a Panathinaikos with a clearly crisis of results. But when a team change a manager, we always must to be careful, because we don't know what happened in the vestiary. For that reason, I don't choose 1x2. I choose the market of goal, because Feyenoord must to attack. Panathinaikos will be found some space over 2.75 goals, odds 1.93.
Even with Benitez, you are going for an over. Apparently, he was expecting also to get the Nottingham Forest job. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. The agent was not a good one like Domenico Tedesco's one. Ronan, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think Sean Dyche probably has a good agent as well after getting the Forest job this morning. So yeah, it's that they are going to turn into maybe a defensive mastermind, or maybe more of a defensive lead. But it's Feyenoord. They're much improved in attack, and we were kind of waiting for that to happen because they obviously have a coach who is attacking minded. So we were kind of waiting for them to score a lot of goals, and that's what they did at the weekend. Like you said, 7-0 away against Heracles. I think this is where they should look to get some goals on the board, maybe have the goal difference out of it, because they haven't scored yet in the Europa League. So that could come in kind of important at the end of the league phase, because we saw it last season, teams missing out on goal difference on maybe the playoffs, or maybe missing out on the top 8. So not only do Feyenoord need to pick up points, but they need to pick up some goals here. So that's where I'm looking at as well. And I'm looking at someone in the comments, Creed has picked the same thing as me. I think there could be one man to get goals for Feyenoord if they do get goals. 𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗏 has 11 in 9 in the Eredivisie this season. He got a hat-trick in that game against Heracles. That's why his numbers look so high. He scored against Bayern Munich. He scored against Benfica last season in the Champions League. He's yet to score in the Europa League, because Feyenoord have yet to score in the Europa League this season. But he can get off the mark here. So I really like the look of him as an anytime goal scorer at 2.75.
Well, Graham Potter also, David is telling us, Swedish coach from this week, a lot of movements in the clubs, even after the international break. Some clubs didn't do the homework before the break, and now they are firing or getting the new managers. Let's move to the next one. Genk Betis. Of course, Pellegrini is not moving from Seville. Betis in good form overall. They had a tough game at the weekend. They were 2-0 down in Villarreal, but Anthony scored a brace, even if he was starting a bit slowly the season. But actually, both goals were brilliant with his left foot. They have 4 points because they beat 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀 away in the last game in the Europa League. Genk beat Rangers away, lost to Fenerbahce at home. So it's another team difficult to read in Europe, Ronan, and in bad form in the domestic league.
Yeah, they're not playing very well at the moment, whereas Betis are kind of on the up and up. They look at the moment, like you said, Anthony is kind of, maybe he's coming into form and maybe he's hitting form at the right time, but they have been picking up results even when he hasn't been playing his best. So if they can have him kind of firing and getting goals and getting assists for them, they can kind of cause waves. I think in the Europa League, I think they could go far in this competition. So they're unbeaten in 7 in all competitions. They've scored 2 or more goals than each. They've 4 wins and 3 2-all draws, surprisingly, in those 7 games. So if they are not going to win this one, they're probably going to draw 2-all. So they've scored in every single game this season. So they will score again here. Betis over 1.5 goals looks good at 2.15 because, like I said, they've scored 2 or more goals in each of their last 7 games in all competitions. They can do it again here because Genk are not a world-beating side. They're unbeaten in their last 6 away games, so I think they're going to get something from this one again. So Betis draw no bet 171 looks pretty good if you're not going to go straight for the Betis win.
And lately, Alain, we are seeing a better Betis in Europe because a couple of seasons ago, they struggled a lot when they went away in Europe, and Pellegrini has put the team in Europe every single season, and now they are used to playing in Europe, not like their neighbors, Sevilla, but still competing well.
Yes, Betis. I am surprised about the capacity of Betis to change the results in the second half. In the last weeks, there was a down in the score against Espanyol. There's change. They won in Espanyol. Espanyol is doing really good job this season. In Villarreal, scored twice in the second half. Is not easy. And yes, at the beginning of the season, Anthony was not fit. I think he, he had a really hard summer because the last day of the market is seeing again for Betis, and he don't do the preparation. And right now we start to show his best version. And for Betis is a really important player. Isco is out. Betis have a lot of offensive, talented player, but Anthony gives something magical player. He's a magical player, and he feel comfortable in Sevilla. That one is always important for that type of profile. Is so important when he feel love about the fans, and in Sevilla is an idol, totally idol, and that one he give back to the fans. We saw that in Villarreal. Watch Betis is one of the most funny team in Europe for the offensive quality, for the read, for the passion, the intensity of the game. Now Genk is a difficult beginning of the season. We saw Genk catch more points away than at home, in spite of there have one game more away in Belgium League. The last weekend, a draw against Cercle de Bruges. Cercle de Bruges is in the last position in the table. They lose the capacity to manage the results. Yes, it's a bad moment for Genk. It's a bad moment. In Genk, they work always with a project with young player. And when do you play with the data, you can have an empty season. And in my opinion, it's empty season for Genk. Or until January, there will be suffer with 2 games per week. With in Europe, they don't have the deepness to manage that, and the priority is try to catch the first 6 position in Belgium. And for that, when I check the odds about the game, I was surprised of the odds of Betis, and for that reason, I choose Betis winning odds 2.40.
Okay, back in Betis winning, 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀 also over 2.5 goals. Ergo is telling us that Genk was bad against Fenerbahce, so I like Betis with Anthony. Perhaps the Brazilian is not playing, also to give him some rest. Who knows? Because also Betis are playing against Atlético de Madrid the following week, although it's on Monday. Next game is Lyon Basel. Lyon, one of the teams with 6 points with 2 wins. We have 7 teams actually with 6 points and playing now against Basel. Basel 3 points, lost away, won at home against Stuttgart. They are having a really tough schedule, by the way, in the Europa League. But in the Ligue 1, Alain, we have seen Lyon losing back-to-back games recently.
Yes, we can start to ask about the deepness of the squad. Lyon can manage the city competition, Coupe de France, Europa League, and Ligue 1. I have doubt. Not about the talent of this team, but about the deepness. And when do you have that one, 12, 13 player can be played at the high level, maybe you found some difficulties. And we saw that not against Nice, because it was after the FIFA break, but against Toulouse. Against Toulouse, that there was winning 1-0 until the end of the game, until minute 87. And in 9 minutes, they received 2 goals and they lose the game. And that one, I think that, yes, team miss energy. And at that level, with that, the intensity is always difficult to manage both competition. It changed. Basel with Stuttgart changed the chip. Something changed in Basel after the winning against Stuttgart, because in Switzerland, for a Swiss team, winning against that Bundesliga team, yes, can be start your season. And when we saw Basel in Servette, Basel against Winterthur, we saw the best version of Basel, the version of Ludovic Magnin want to be a competitive team with a really strong defensive phase. 3 games, 3 victory, 0 goal concede, 8 goal score. The best version of Xherdan Shaqiri. It really important game for Shaqiri, because Shaqiri played in Lyon. He don't had a lot of success in Lyon, and in my opinion, Shaqiri is proud, and he want to do his best version in Lyon. And when Shaqiri is playing with his best version, Basel is competitive team in Europe. For that one, I choose a value bet for this game, double chance X2, odds 2.38.
Okay, even 𝗀𝗲𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗀 is also going for Basel to win or draw, so a double chance. Ronan?
Yeah, I think this could be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised if Basel did take something from it, because they are kind of coming into a bit of form. And Lyon, they're less than convincing at the moment. They're not scoring a lot of goals. They've only had one game in their last 6 matches that has more than 3 total goals in a match, and that was, like Alain said, a 3-2 defeat to Nice on Saturday. So when they're playing, their matches are fairly tight. They're keeping it kind of fairly close. 3 of the last 6 games have been 1-0 wins or 1-0 defeats in them. And Basel, they are also at the moment, they're not having hugely highly entertaining matches either. So I think this one will be a close one, and it wouldn't be a surprise then if Basel was to win it, because none of Basel's last 5 games have had more than 3 total goals in them, although the last 2 were 3-0 wins for them in the Swiss Super League. So they are coming into a bit of form, but obviously a team like Lyon is going to be harder to score against than some of the Swiss opponents they face. So for that reason, I'm not going to say Basel are definitely going to take a point here, but I am saying it's going to be a poor match. So I'm going for total goals under 3 at 2.01. And like I always say, if you're going for an exact number for total goals, make sure that your bookmakers give you your money back if it's exactly 3.
Next stop in the Olímpico, Roma Viktoria Plzen. 3 defeats this season for Roma, all 3 at home, all 3 without scoring. This is a surprise, because it's a team that is always strong or stronger playing at home. They lost to Inter. Perhaps they deserve more, but the 𝗀𝗵𝗍𝗀 is not working. We saw 𝗛𝗵𝗏 up front, and in this Europa League they have 3 points because they won away in Nice. Pilsen, 4 points, doing a good Europa League so far, even if in Czech Republic, Ronan is another team that is struggling.
Yeah, this Roma team is definitely struggling to score goals up front, and you mentioned that win over Nice, but it was 2 defenders who scored in that match. So it isn't their forward scoring, and it's not Ireland's Evan Ferguson. Unfortunately, I mentioned Troy Parrott in the Champions League episode that he could do something in the Conference League this week, but Evan Ferguson, I had a look at his anytime goal scorers. That's 235. That's very generous from the bookies. Have they not seen him play for Roma this season? So no matter who starts up front for Roma, they don't seem to be able to make a click, and that's kind of a surprise when you see what you've seen from Gasperini and forwards in the past. You would think that at least one of these forwards maybe might be making an impact, but I'm not sure he knows necessarily which of them it is going to be, and one of them finally has to maybe pull their boots up and start scoring goals, because they haven't been scoring a lot of goals. They have played 9 games in already this season. 6 of those games have been 1-0s for some team or another. Plzen have a 1-0 a win and a 1-0 defeat in their last 4 games, and they obviously have won 1-0 here already in this tournament. So total goals under 3, 193 could be an option here. Another match where there's few goals in it, because Roma are struggling to score goals, but we know they are solid defensively, and Plzen could find it hard to score goals in this one. But I think it could be another 1-0. So I'm going to go out on a big limb here and go for a correct score 1-0 of 850. I'm not saying who's going to score for Roma, because that's impossible to predict, but it's probably not going to be one of their forwards.
Mancini or Pellegrini could be good options. Alain, at one point this team has to click offensively at least, because the results are not that bad. They are only 1 point away from Milan, but we expect to have more fun.
Yes, in the fact, when we analyze the match goal stats in Serie A, is the team with the less average of goal in the match, goal score and goal conceded. It's not a Gasperini team. What happened with Gasperini? We can read he found defensive balance, but we can read he lose something in the offensive pace. In my opinion, when a team don't score a lot, the first things you must to analyze is how create the team, and the team creates. But 𝗀𝗵𝗍𝗀 and Ferguson suffer in this moment. Soulé, 𝗛𝗵𝗏, now Baldanzi, now Bailey is back. Don't score with the average we're waiting, and is something he must to correct, because the second half against Inter was good. They're great, but when you saw the team fight in front of the goal, it can be worry or upset Gasperini. Now against Pilsen, in my opinion, Gasperini will be put pressure to his offensive player. He's still searching his 11 offensive start, because it changed a lot. The formula. Maybe against Pilsen we can see Ferguson and 𝗀𝗵𝗍𝗀 together, because Pilsen is a team defend really well. It's really physical. Pilsen is probably one of the most boring team to see in Europe, with a low block, really physical. After, when you like the tactical, and I love tactical, when you see the organization of Pilsen is amazing, because every season they conserve that structure and that strengthness. But yes, when do you see the rhythm of the game can be really low, and sometimes the game are really long. I think Roma in this game will be put to risk, will be put pressure, and for that reason I choose Roma winning at the end of the first time, odds 1.83.
You can go and drink a coffee with Rafa Benitez, Alain.
yeah.
And
it can be long.
Well, Roma playing this game, then they have Sassuolo, so it's important for them to win and convince, I would say, in both games. They should score more goals in the next two games. Another two teams in trouble, Celta de Vigo, Nice. Celta in trouble in La Liga. They are winless. They are drawing basically all the games. 1-1 is kind of a safe bet for Celta again this weekend. In Europe, at least they beat PAOK, is the only win they've had so far this season. And Nice, Alain, in trouble in Europe. 2 defeats, Roma, Fenerbahce. It's true that they are having a really tough schedule in this Europa League. They were very unlucky in the draw, and they are coming from an important win against Lyon.
Yes, it's important winning, but it's at home. But since the beginning of the season, Nice away be able to catch only a draw in the derby against Monaco, where the motivation is special. But in Fenerbahce, in Brest, in Le Havre, in Benfica too, for the playoff, we saw a really poor version of Nice. Now, after the game in Lyon, in Nice, the question is, the season finally start for the team, because is the most important winning since the beginning of the season. But now you need to have continuity. Have continuity against Celta is difficult, because Nice suffered the model of play of Celta. Celta deserve to have more point in Liga, respect to the content, to the attitude in the game. And I think the last 3 games in Celta are good, because winning against PAOK, draw against Atletico Madrid, and against Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad is not doing really well too, but is a team with a lot of quality, a lot of talent, and we wait something more about the management of the results in Vigo right now. In Nice is a difficult game for Nice, because the squad, I still thinking, is not built to play every 3 days. The next game is in Rennes, and Nice need to conserve and follow the rhythm about the top team in Ligue 1. Which game is most important for Nice, this one or in Ligue 1? Last season, Nice was one of the poorest team in Europa League. I have some feeling this season Nice will be suffer again. In my opinion, Celta have more quality than this Nice, and Celta is favorite for this game. I choose Celta winning, odds 2.02.
All right, Celta winning. 𝗀𝗏𝗃 is going for the classic draw with Celta. Ronan.
Yeah, I am also going for Celta to win. Spoilers. It's not going to be a 1-1 draw like 7 of Celta's games in La Liga this season, which is absolutely insane when you think about it, that they just keep drawing every match 1-1. That's what they do. Yeah, they say since they lost their first match 2-0 in the first game of the season, and then both teams score yes in every game, and 7 1-1 draws. So yeah, they don't kind of they are very consistent. Probably the most consistent team in Europe at the moment, but I still think they're not going to draw 1-1 this match. Nice have also had both teams to score yes in each of their last 6 games, so both teams to score yes could be a good option here at 173. I like Alain's tip of Celta to win at 202. Happy enough to take that, but combine them both, Celta win and both teams to score yes is 375.
Celta concedes a lot. Indeed, well, they resisted on Sunday. They were playing with 10 men against Real Sociedad. Let's see if they can win here. And the last game is perhaps the most interesting one. Nottingham Forest. Porto is not Ante Postecoglou, is not Rafa Benitez, is Son Dyche. He was appointed as Nottingham Forest new manager, 39 days in charge for Postecoglou. This has been brief because the numbers speak by themselves. So bad. The numbers for consecutive defeats. They even lost to Midtjylland. in this Europa League. They drew with Betis, remember, in match day 1, so it's 1 point, and now they are facing one of the favorites in this competition. Is 6 points for Porto, also top of Portugal, and good odds overall, Ronan, to back Porto.
Yeah, I think it is. We also have to kind of consider the new manager bounce that we sometimes see. The new managers often come into teams and try and do the basics right to begin with, and I imagine that's exactly why Sean Dyche has been brought in. But you kind of look at this managerial appointment to follow up kind of the predecessor they had, and you kind of wonder, does Marianakis have any clue about what he wants to do with his club in the long term? Because these two coaches are totally different. They couldn't be any more different in the way they play football, the way they try and set up to play football, the way they try and achieve results. Sean Dyche feels like a manager that's come in to save your team from relegation when you have 6 games left in the season. Not a kind of long-term project is what you're going for. And the long-term project he had looked for was 𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀, which is a kind of attacking, attractive, full metal, really intense kind of way to play football. That is not what Nottingham Forest were suited to. It probably is more suited to what Sean Dyche has been, at least in the past. But Marianakis has spent a lot of money and maybe spent too much money on various players. So this is a project that we're going to have to wait and see what happens. So his first game in charge, he's only going to get a couple of training sessions between now and this match. It's going to be very difficult for him to get anything against Porto. Probably just going to set up and make them defensively. So we'll have to make him more defensive and see what happens from it. But Porto have been fantastic this season. They are unbelievable in the Portuguese league. They have been excellent in Europe as well. They're unbeaten, or they haven't lost a game since the Club World Cup in the summer, and that's, in my opinion, that's last season rather than this season anyway. I'm not going to count it. So they haven't lost a game. Forest, they haven't won a game since they played Brentford on the first weekend of the Premier League, and I think they were fortunate enough to win that one. So they've 10 games without a win since, including 4 defeats in a row. Can they stop it here? No, I don't think so. So I like the look of maybe a draw here at 3.55, but even that was before this new manager was announced. I'm still confident enough that Porto can get something around this match, so I'm going for Porto Asian handicap 0 2.07, and I wouldn't be surprised if Porto won by a couple of goals actually.
Well, Nottingham Forest should focus much more in the Premier League, Alain, because with this change of wind every month, I'm sure they are going to be down. Something similar at what happened with West Ham, for instance, also losing at home with Nuno.
Yeah, dramatic beginning of the season for Nottingham Forest. The last winning is against Brentford at the middle in the first journey in the Premier League. I searched the statistic of how many manager Marianakis fired since his owner in football, and it's rated 30 manager in 15 years. And with that unbalance, it's really difficult to have stability. In my opinion, he don't value the overvalue of the team in the last season with Nuno. Nuno made brilliant things, and Nuno made brilliant things in every bench in his first season. It's always very good. Now Marianakis choose some dice is like Ronan said. You have 3 totally different manager, because when do you pass from Nuno to 𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗀 to arrive to Sundice, you don't have an identity, and with that it's difficult to working. You do the market with an idea, and another manager have this quote. Really difficult to working in that way. Probably one of the best match of Nottingham Forest at the beginning of the season was in Europa League in Sevilla against Betis. Yep. This day we saw a very good Nottingham Forest, especially in the first half. And now it's difficult to understand how is the grade of motivation of the team, the grade of confidence of the team, and with which identity there will be play against Porto. Porto is doing really well since the beginning of the season. Farioli found his squad, his 11th start. He's doing turnover like in the game against Red Star. In the last weekend, they played in Taça de Portugal, Portuguese Cup, sorry, and they won easy. And with that, he can rest some player, and that one means Porto will be present himself in Nottingham with his best team. Probably he will be do a lot of turnover, because first he need to win and follow the rhythm, and the next weekend against Moreirense is an easy game for Porto, and it's a prestigious game in Forest. And I wait the best version of Porto. I don't choose 1x2 when a team change manager. I take care about that, but I choose the market of goal over 3.25 goals, odds 2.63.
That's a lot of goals. The Asian handicap 0 looks very good also for Porto, around 2, in case you wanna take some insurance, and if they draw, you get your money back. David, the Greek Marinakis, is a typical owner from the Balkans. Indeed. Well, this is our trip around Europe. We left out some games. By the way, the AI smart bet of Oddspedia is telling us double chance in this game for Porto. I forgot to tell you guys, 1.57 is what smart bet is telling us, and also full-time result Porto 2.85, first team to score Porto. So the AI in this case is going for the away team, as we thought as well. Well, this is it in our trip around Europe on Thursday. Remember, you can post your tips in Oddspedia. We have some tipster competitions going on, so it's completely free to participate. There you go. You have the monthly one, and you can see the leaderboard, and also we have rivals for you. This is a unique feature of Oddspedia where you can create your own tipster competitions. Let's go with your safe bets. By the way, congrats, guys. The international ACCA was correct last weekend. So we try again in Europe. Ronan, safe bet?
My safe bet is Fenerbahce Stuttgart over 1.5 total match goals at 121.
Alain?
Roma winning, odds 1.38.
And the ACCA, Ronan?
I've gone for Bologna to win and Porto Asian handicap 0, and that's a total of 360.
I like it. Simple and high odds. Alain?
Forest Porto over 2.75 goals. Lille PAOK over 1.75 goals. Go ahead, Eagles. Aston Villa winning, odds 4.03.
Inform Emery's team to win in the Netherlands. Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Alain. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Bye.
Ciao.